Boom, baby. We are live. Welcome to Interview with a Man number 270, featuring my good personal friend, cryptocurrency expert, and all around nice guy, Mr. Charlie from cultivatecrypto.com, who is a general in the Hot Dude Army. Charlie, what is up, baby? How you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Just finished my own live stream, so just keep it rolling.
Yeah, man. We just got to keep this train moving. Nothing is going to slow us down. And, guys, today we're going to talk about an important part of what's happening in the world. And, honestly, let's just talk real quick about money in general. A lot of guys in life are very poorly educated on finances and the financial system. And you guys also need to take the financial red pill, which is to understand that you can become self-employed, understand all these systems out there that can benefit you to become a high-value, high-net-worth male. And in addition to that, to be aware of all the systems that are out there that are there to fuck you over and to ruin you as a man. And, Charlie does that on his show every day, and he also owns a website, cultivatecrypto.com. He is what you would call a Bitcoin expert. And, Charlie, why don't you just introduce yourself to the folks?
Yeah, I think a good portion of the audience is aware of my channel, what I do based on our Tokyo Crypto Show. How many of those have we done now, like 57 or something like that?
We're actually, tomorrow is going to be episode 61.
Damn, we've done a lot. So it's been a good ride on that. But for those of you, or I guess for those of you who are maybe newer to the channel, who haven't seen the John McAfee interview or stuff like that, like John said, I'm a cryptocurrency trader. I love doing it. It's something that if you would have asked me 5 years ago, like, what would I be doing? Would I be building my own business and doing cryptocurrency trading? I would say, are you crazy? Like, what the hell are you talking about? But it's been something that, for me personally, I've been interested in making money, most of my adult life. But in terms of going in, understanding finance, understanding what fucking bonds are, stocks, crypto, whatever, was not all that interesting for me. Right. It's just like, it's something I'll study later. But I think especially for those guys who are younger in the group, the earlier that you do this type of stuff, the earlier that you become financially literate, I guess is probably the best way to put it, and understand both, what's true out there and then where are the areas that you can get basically fucked, like John said. As long as you have that understanding, then you'll do much, much better over the long term of your entire life. And so for me, it was my late 20s when I started having that type of awakening. And, it was really once, me and John were in a sales company together. I was doing really, really good with sales at that company for a while, started getting some good money that I, was going to invest in. I was like, okay, let's get into it. My family convinced me to get into cryptocurrency. I think a lot of people don't have family members or other people that they know getting into cryptocurrency. So at least I had some people that were understanding the market. So I wasn't getting into it just for no apparent reason. But then when you came into the office, started talking crypto, you were like, oh, I think there's this guy named Vitalik Buterin having a, conference or something, at this bar just down the street. And I was just like, oh, I think that's the guy who made the cryptocurrency that I bought just a couple of months ago. And then, basically it sparked off our friendship as well.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that as well, just how we got going as friends. So what happened was I joined a company, and the company was a recruitment company. It was the equivalent of a Fortune 500 company in America. We both had very prestigious jobs. It was not some rinky-dink shithole. Like, it was legit corporate job. Like, we both went on like a corporate vacation to Hawaii, fully financed. Charlie went to like Thailand, Las Vegas as well, because he was doing such a good job. How much money did you make for that company while you were there? What was like your total sales that you made for them?
somewhere between $500,000 and $750,000, I guess, in total sales. And for people who, I guess, in terms of, we were doing recruitment, right? So
Right.
in terms of recruitment, most of your sales are generally around, in terms of total, would be about $40 to maybe $100,000 for the majority of the sales.
Mhm.
So yeah, there's quite a lot of sales that we had to make to get to that number.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people may have not known this, but so Charlie was one of the top performing employees in the company when I met him. And he was doing really, really well. He was doing so well that they actually transferred him from one department, and they transferred him to like literally like one of the crappiest departments with like
Yeah.
no base or anything. They're like, Charlie, we need you to build this thing from the ground up. And Charlie was actually my mentor at this company. And I used to take Charlie to lunch, and I'd just be like, listen, man, like, can you just tell me how I do this shit? Because I'm not trying to be a fucking loser. Like, I'm trying to be a top biller.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw how dedicated it was. I mean, I came to you every day, right?
Yeah. And that was kind of, what I really liked about you at the beginning, because I think we get a lot of people right in the chat right here, that sometimes come in here and are like, oh, here's this, a lot of people call you a douche when they first see you, right? Like, it's just the first thing that a lot of people say. And like,
Rightfully so.
I'm not the one saying it. I'm just saying, first impressions don't mean shit. Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not calling you that by any means, because I know who you are as a person. I know you're a really good guy too. I know you're a great person. I mean, we've been really good friends. We wouldn't be otherwise. Yeah. But we do, come from very different backgrounds and completely different areas. Right. And so when you first came up to me and you were like, hey, can I have help? I was like, yeah, sure. I do that with, every single young guy who comes into our office. I think it was Kohei, right? He was one of the guys who's also, a bright up and comer guy when you were joining as well. And he's just a really young guy and really, really interested in a lot of the things that he's doing in terms of making money. But there's a lot of people who come in as well with the totally opposite, I guess, point of view, which is, oh, you guys have been doing this too long. You guys suck. I'm going to be better than you like tomorrow or something like that. Just overly cocky salesmen that sometimes they had the background, sometimes they didn't. And it was funny to watch the guys who actually had really, really good sales backgrounds go into recruitment, because they were like, oh, recruitment's easy, right? They come into it and most people are out of it within 6 months, right? They just turn and burn. They can't make it. But the reason why I knew you were going to be really good at it was because you kept asking questions, and then you actually took my advice and then you applied it in your own way, right? Mm-hmm. And that was something that I was like, oh, not only is this guy a natural at sales, but he's also really intelligent to apply it in his own way. Because a lot of people, what they try to do is just copy what everybody else is doing. And that doesn't usually work. You have to have your own personality with it, have to have your own sales mentality, that type of thing. But I don't know if you want to tell the story of you closing the guy when he was running on the treadmill in the morning. I thought that one was always good, but
I could tell him. So there was this guy, and I was living that presidential lifestyle, right? I was waking up at 5 a.m., going to the gym to crush it before I went into work. And the guy, he one of my main prospects, he was trying to like weasel his way out of an interview that I set up for him. And I was like, listen, look, here's the deal. I think this is a great opportunity. And quite honestly, I think that you backing out of this is going to be very bad for your corporate reputation, but more so my reputation, because I told these people you were coming. And I kind of strong-armed him into going to the interview, right? And some people, like, most pushovers, they would be like, oh, that was like unethical or whatever. I knew the position was a perfect match for him because I had back-end data that he didn't have, but I couldn't give to him because of legal reasons, right? If you guys don't know about corporate life in Japan, like security is huge, like personal identification security. Like if you leave documents on your desk at work, like they call you and be like, listen, you left documents on your desk and like you can't leave that out. That's a security risk. They like call you the same day. And so I couldn't let him know everything, but I knew it was the best fit. And I strong-armed him into going into the interview. After he went to the interview, he did something extremely rare, which Japanese people almost never do. He called me, and he told me in English, he was like, thank you so much This interview was amazing. I think this company is going to be amazing. And he was coming from a really big company. I'm not going to say the name of the company, but it's a big medical company, one of the largest in the world, based in Minnesota. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. And I actually ended up getting him a raise. I think he went from like 100,000 up to $125,000 a year. And this is a guy in his 50s, making like somewhat of a parallel jump, but getting a raise. I was really good at what I did. And I think I chalked that up to like a lot of street smarts and just knowing people in general. And that was one of the things that I did that really helped get me to eventually becoming the number one salesman for the month of December in the entire company within 3 months of being in that department, which had the smallest database in the entire company. So I didn't have, obviously, it's me. So I had some haters in the office. And,
a lot. Still do.
I have a lot of haters in the office. They still talk about me. The
It's
legend
hilarious,
of Jonathan
dude.
lives on in the fucking office. And some of these dorks watch this channel, which is fantastic. I love it.
I saw Mehdi in the stream comments yesterday. I was like, oh, sweet, Mehdi's in here. He's a good guy.
Oh, he was in mine?
I think so. There's a guy named Mehdi. It looked like his picture. It was like when I was responding to Donovan or something. I was like, oh, interesting.
Oh, wow. Very interesting. But yeah,
Yeah.
like, so then I came in there, Mr. Street Smarts. I don't have all these fancy degrees and all these, like, I couldn't speak Japanese and all this shit. I just had determination. And I went in there and I did everything Charlie taught me to do. And I was able to, I think that month, I made $70,500 in 1 month for the company. And that was the number one in December, which is like the slowest month of the year as well.
Yeah. And the one thing I remember about that still vividly, we were walking down that hill in Ibisu going to from the Vietnamese restaurant I think we had for lunch. And you're telling me this story about this guy. You're just like, oh my God, do you think he's going to sign or are you just going to bail on the interview? I was like, no, you did everything correctly. Even though you strong-armed him, I think he'll still go. And then you're just like, after that, everything went like super smoothly. I got closed. And it's like, sometimes these people, because the thing about recruitment, right, is you're selling people to people. Your product can say no, right? And it's not, it's pretty difficult to get, like we have like 10 different people that have to agree. But, really getting those types of guys into opportunities that they might not know are good for them at the beginning is probably the hardest part in that job. Right. There's a few people who, like, for example, they didn't even want to go to the first interview. And I was just like, trust me, this company is better than a lot of the other ones you're looking at. And it's maybe it's not your dream company, but it's something that will improve your career, improve your status, all this type of stuff. And just getting them to take that step, then they, can take care of a lot of the rest. But getting people to move that first step, I think, is something that you're really good at. And, just convincing them of that. Once I saw that, I was like, okay, great. Because we were both in areas that were relatively new, basically zero on the database. Really, we had to build everything from scratch for those two departments. And so, like, when you built up to that, I was like, awesome, glad to see you. Whereas there's so many other retards, basically, who are just like, they see somebody else do well in the same industry and they want to tear them down. You know what I mean? They don't want to build people up. They don't want to see other people succeed. And that type of mentality when it comes to a sales type environment, I mean, when you watch a movie like Boiler Room or, any of these types of movies, you got that mentality because everybody's competitive. But at the same time, it's like, why not help you succeed, right? So you still, like you said, have a lot of haters, but that's just because they're jealous.
One thing I paid attention to was not everybody who was congratulating me when I made my first placement, which was very nice feeling to see everybody congratulate me. But more importantly, the people who did not congratulate me and the people who saw me succeeding and were like very spiteful, namely Schemo, your favorite. We had this guy in the company. His name is Chemo, but we used to call him Schemo because he was always running some kind of fucking scheme. And God, what an inbred. But anyways, he got what came to him because karma's real. But anyways, going back to that, like that was like the basis of our friendship. And then I don't know, did you when I told you I was leaving the company. Were you shocked when I told you I think I'm out?
No, because we've been talking about it for quite a while. I was a little bit shocked, but when you were first considering it, I was like, wow, that's way too early. But the thing that you said that, made the most sense to me, and I mean, I've been in recruitment at that point way too long, in my opinion, because I guess, well, let me answer your question first and I'll kind of get into that point. But no, I wasn't, because we'd been talking about it for a while. But the main thing that you said, right, was I'm making these guys a shit ton of money and I ain't getting shit, right? We got some good checks, right? Don't get me wrong, it was decent, but you really had to build it up over several quarters in order to get that money flowing really, really good. And so I'd worked quite a long time to get to that point. And so for me, I got my flow going, but for you, who's somebody who's new, I was like, oh, he's just starting to get his flow going and he's jumping out. But what are you going to do? And you had a lot of ambition for building up this channel, building up your own business. And I was like, yeah, that's the way that you want to go long term, because I saw these, 55-year-old guys who are the best salesmen in their company for decades, right? Because I was helping both IT professionals that were technical, but also sales and marketing people who did IT in IT companies like Oracle, Amazon, all of the big ones. And I saw these guys, and they would come into the office, 55 years old, and be like, I have to get a temp job my entire life from now on, and I have nowhere to go, blah, blah, blah. My company just cut me, and my salary is going down because they're finding somebody young who could do the job and train them up. And I was just like, Jesus, you're going to want, you can't rely on a company until that point in your career, because nowadays, right, people are going to live a lot longer. And, the amount that you can make in a company is capped, right? And by that point, when you're 55, 60 years old, you have to be a CEO or a general manager, the top of the creme de la creme, in order to be making a good amount of money or increasing your money throughout your career. Otherwise, it's kind of like a bell curve, right? It just goes up and then it goes down. And then, if you haven't invested well over that period of time as well, maybe you're the old dude eating cat food or some shit, at the end of the day. It can go south for a lot of people, especially with longer lifespans here in our generation as well. There's just so much that you don't want to be reliant on other people. And so that's also when I saw Bitcoin that I was really excited about it as well. It's this huge thing about self-reliance, self-sovereignty. And, the internet is one of the biggest areas that you can build that and maintain that, and do that anywhere in the world. You could do your business from, like you said, Puerto Rico, from America, wherever. Doesn't really matter, because you built it for yourself, by yourself, and in the areas that you can generally control.
Absolutely. And so that was going back to your point there, that's really what salted me, because I'm a dude from this, I was Mr. Street Smarts, right? I was just in there, and I saw it as a game. Like a 40% contract was unheard of, but I was signing them left and right. I was like, yeah. We're the top company in Tokyo. We're number one. You got to do it. 40%. We'll provide you with the best candidates. And I was meeting with the presidents of these companies and signing them. I wasn't like hustling HR members. I was talking with like the top dudes. And the thing is, two things. Like, okay, first the financial, right? So I made them $70,500 in 1 month. They brought me into a conference room to like, hey, listen, this is an excellent performance. We're going to give you $6,500 and we're going to pay it out to you in 3 months. And so in my stomach, I was so fucking like, what the fuck? Like I wanted to like stand up and like knock the guy out. That was just like my first instinct, like flip the table and beat this Italian dude's ass. And, he's a good guy. He's a friend of mine to this day. He was just doing his job. But that really broke my spirit,
Yeah, because you're expecting like a lot more, right?
Yeah, the key to destroying somebody is you break their spirit. Like I just watched the documentary Tyson, and when he was fighting, I believe his name was Kevin McBride, the Irish boxer, the last of his career, he said like he just didn't have it anymore. He didn't have the spirit anymore. He was 38 at that time, and he had all the money in the world. He just he was just going through the motions, and his spirit was broken. And I took it as a slight. And that broke my spirit, and everybody was caught off guard. And then when I tried to quit, they were tried so hard to retain me. They're like, listen, we'll give you more salary. We'll make you a manager. We got this coming. We got that coming. And I was just like, look, I can't. And this ties into what Tony says here. Tony says, I recently had the epiphany. I've most definitely brought over $1 million worth of value to my company. So why can't I do it for myself? And that's what they don't want you to, that's what they don't want you to do. It's like, it's like teaching the slave to read. Once you fucking teach the slave to read, he's like, wait a minute, I'm a human being. I have rights. Like, this is fucked up. Like, that's slavery in a nutshell, is to keep people ignorant of the facts. And you see right now the way the information's traveling at light speed these days, more and more like, slaves, if you will, mental slaves. Everybody's so racially charged up right now. I'm not talking about black or white, but, I'm just talking about just, being mentally enslaved, that people are waking up. And that's what happened to me. I came to the same rationale, Tony. I said, here I am, a guy with nothing but street smarts, no formal education, just sales and like just the determination to win. So if I can make these people $70,000 in 1 month, I said, if I could make myself with my own company half of that, and it took me all year to make that, I could live off of $30,000 a year. And if I could do that one time, I'm pretty sure I can do it again and again and again. And so the problem with me is once I come to a conclusion that's like logically sound, my body turns against me. And so it turns against me, and I have a strong gut feeling. And I had like this gut feeling in my stomach every single day telling me like, get out, quit this fucking job, get out. And that same gut feeling was telling me, go back to modern life dating and continue doing it. If you guys look at the channel history, there's a 9-month gap where I didn't put out a lot of videos. And that was in 2017 when I was working my ass off for this company, right? And so that's what I realized was the thing that I could do it. And lo and behold, I did do it. And they were caught off guard. But let's go back to you right now, Charlie, talking about what's going on with you in your personal life. You saw me leave, and then you came into the office every day. My loud ass wasn't there. What did that make you think of, and how did that make you? Did that do anything to you? Did that cause anything?
Well, it was just, for me, I come from a family who has a lot of entrepreneurs, right? My dad's built up his own business for the last 30 or 40 years. He's been self-reliant on that his entire, most of his adult life, my entire life. Mm-hmm. And I've never wanted to do the same thing as him. So it's not like I'm going to go over and take over his business, right? It's just not my cup of tea. It's not the area that I'm interested in. Right. But there's always been something that I've been like, well, first of all, everybody just doesn't want to listen to, somebody else. They want to have control over their own life, their self-sovereignty, like I mentioned before.
You'd be surprised. I think we're a little bit
that's
different.
True. I guess that's true. Yeah. There's a bunch of things that we've been talking about, I guess, over the last couple of years that, we've really kind of fleshed out more in ideas. I guess sometimes I give people the benefit of the doubt in general that they're more similar to me than they aren't. But yeah, you're generally right on those points. Like there's sometimes I'm just like, oh yeah, everybody's, generally pretty smart. And then you start going out and meeting like, a lot of different people, and you're just like, oh, I guess, there's not that many smart people out there anymore. I just gave, the entire world more benefit of the doubt than I guess it was worth. But when it comes to that, so my father had an entrepreneurial background. My sister built her own business. My brother, I think he has the ability to, but he hasn't kind of gotten to that area yet. A few of my cousins have built their own businesses that they've sustained over the last few years, or not over the last few years, over the last decade or so. So I saw all of those examples, and then I saw you jumping out here in Japan. And the one thing in Japan, right, that a lot of people who are foreign have fear of, I guess, is that uncertainty, right? Mm-hmm. That uncertainty of, will I succeed? Will I fail? How will I do? That type of thing. Mm-hmm. But if they don't do it, they don't know. And, a lot of them, being in a foreign country as well, you're never going to be integrated to that country, no matter how well you speak Japanese, right? There's some foreign guys on TV who speak Japanese absolutely perfectly. Still, they're never going to be, the same as Japan. Even the Japanese who go abroad to study, right? And then they come back. A lot of the times they don't get the good positions in the companies because they have been kind of tainted. They've been made foreign, right? They're not Japanese fully anymore, that kind of thing. So Japan's pretty extreme in that way. So, I really like living here, wanted to keep living here. Also got married here. And so I was like, okay, how can I take control of my life? And I saw what you were doing. And I was just like, I had the same gut feeling. We'd talked about this for quite a long time, over our lunches, just like, screw the man, screw the company. When we were making money with Bitcoin, right, we were taking like 2-hour lunches, hour and a half lunches, just being like, screw it, we're making money, baby, with Bitcoin. So, I had that mentality a lot. I didn't want to work for the corporation for a really, really long time. But, for a certain period of time, I was like happy with it, right? And when I walked away, I did walk away from a decent amount of money, because in recruitment, once you have your ball rolling, once you have your sales process, once you have all your clients, right, it's smooth sailing, right? I had my business model going, and whenever you leave, you have to leave with money on the table. And so I was just like, that was probably the hardest part for me, was just like, walking away from.
How much did you leave on the table?
Bonus, about $70,000.
And commission that you were going to get paid out?
Yeah, over the course of 6 months after I left. I wasn't going to get paid all at one point, but I'd signed a CEO of a company. There's a German company moving to Japan, signed their CEO for Japan. Huge deal. I think he was making about 300,000 or so, some dollars. And we got about 35% of that from a company in Germany, which is from Frankfurt. And I didn't know this, but one of our German colleagues said, how the hell did you get a 35% contract with that company? Because they're from like the stingiest area of Germany. Like they never pay. They don't want to pay money. I was like, well,
It's one of the most millionaire cities in the world is Frankfurt.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I even got to go over there and visit their office and meet them face to face. But they didn't want, they'd been trying to find that guy for years, right? But anyways, so that was part of the, money that I left on the table. But
do you regret it? Do you regret it?
No, not at all. Are you kidding me? Oh, dude, the entrepreneurial road and the, self-sovereign road, the, learning how to do finance road is not like, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but there's some level of uncertainty that you must have in your life and that you're going to have anyways, no matter how comfortable you think you are, right?
Take a look at coronavirus, for example.
Exactly. Look at the current situation economically, and you and your company are just at the mercy of the market, right? JC Penney, right, is going down. A lot of these bigger companies, are not doing well. And part of the reason is because they went into too much debt. They thought, oh, this train will always keep rolling. And even these, smart people in these huge companies that were running these things, drove them into the ground because they didn't prepare for a potential, negative scenario that can happen. So, when you understand finance, like you said at the beginning of the show, you have to understand what are the pitfalls as well as the ways you can profit, right? And so what I'm getting at, I guess, is there's always going to be a level of uncertainty in your life. So why not, the younger that you are, the earlier that you do it, the more likely you are to be able to handle that uncertainty and then bring your way to success. Whereas if you wait until you're 40, you can probably make it work, but it's going to be a hell of a lot harder, and it might be not something that you have the energy for, right?
Yeah.
So for me, I was in my early 30s. I was like, it's now or never. Fucking jumping, baby.
And like all the people who may not believe the initial hardship that I went through, like I'll never forget it. But you remember when we went out to lunch and I couldn't even afford lunch and you had to buy me Ikinari steak?
Yeah.
God, that was fucking humiliating for me. But I was just like, I was at a low point, and you were my only friend with a brain, and I remember people when I'm down and out, and I couldn't even afford a $15 lunch. Charlie had to pay for me because I quit the job, but then all this stuff that I'd lined up didn't work out, and everything went south, and I lost a lot of money, and I was scraping by, literally. I remember this is when my consultations were $70 an hour. And I remember somebody booked a consultation one week and I was like, thank God I can buy groceries for the week. I was happy because I could buy chicken, rice, and I bought these frozen bags of berries to make smoothies with. And I just remember at Hanamasa, yeah, I was just ecstatic. And I just remember giving that consultation like the fucking world of value. I was like, just deliver, deliver, deliver. And yeah, man, that was like, it was a good moment because when I quit, I went through hell. And then when you quit, it took you a little bit to get off the ground as well with
Oh yeah.
Cultivate Crypto and everything. But once you got things rolling pretty quickly, I mean, you're doing pretty well for yourself, and Corona really didn't affect your business. And let's talk about Bitcoin. And I want to address this comment real quick because Angelo says something really important. He says, "Can't understand why streams about making money or personal development aren't as popular as How to Get the Girls show. Men don't get it. They don't. They don't get it. They don't get that you have to become the total package. A lot of people don't know this, but Charlie's wife is super hot. Sorry, Charlie, but Charlie's wife is really hot. And, she wouldn't be with him if he was a fucking loser. And it's not just because Charlie's white. It's because he fucking works hard. He's smart. He's determined. He was a top performer in his company. And then he had the balls to quit his job and go independent on YouTube, and he's building up another business. Instead of making all these other people rich, he's making himself rich. And that's the thing. The thing that freaked me out was I would see guys, I saw when you do recruitment industry, especially in Japan is very ageist, right? I hate to use these ist and isms, whatever, but
Japan is the most like they just don't have any filter, right? They just say everything that they're thinking, and it's like,
it's refreshing.
I like the honesty. Yeah,
it's refreshing, to be honest with you. It's efficient communication. But I remember I used to deal with this guy. Remember that guy Kay I used to deal with? That guy who was like 52 and he was like always calling me.
Oh yeah.
I saw this guy.
He was desperate.
Oh my God, he's 52 and he was so desperate for a job. And like he would always call me and I would hear like fear and uncertainty in his voice. And he
had a good career, right?
He had a very good career. He was a smart guy, but he was a victim of his own success. He was able to get jobs so much that he just job hop. Now he's 52. He's got no money saved. He was like a rare Japanese because he was a Christian guy. And so, I mean, it definitely has something to do with him having a little too much front end arrogance and power, but not long-term understanding. And I saw all these people scraping to get by, and then I read the book Unscripted, and I was just like, yo, this is a fucking trap. Corporate life is a fucking trap, and I have got to get out.
Well, when we got to see, behind the scenes at a decently young age, I mean, we weren't young, right? Late 20s, early 30s when I was doing recruitment, but, early enough for me to be like, get out of that scam as, much as early as possible in terms of the scam being the corporate world, simply because, and I don't, look down on anybody who's in a corporate job because obviously most people are, and you can make good money. Great. I don't judge on that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you just realize when you're a recruiter, anything, the really good scenarios that can happen, but also the really bad. And just watching a guy like that, for example, you're just like, holy shit, I do not want that to happen to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to address this real quick. This guy says, I mean, it does help being white in Japan. Actually, it doesn't. You fucking dummy. You dummy you've never been to Japan. Dude, there is a hierarchy here in Japan, and Japanese men are at the top, you fucking non-passport, non-traveling moron. Fuck, that just makes me so mad when I see that shit. Because we do have it hard here. We have the scraps of society.
Yeah, we have one hand tied behind our back sometimes too. It really depends on which situation you're in. There's a lot of situations that you get in terms of Japan that you are, the low of the low, right? You're the bottom of the barrel because like Japan has 2% foreign population in Japan. It's, not that much, right? So, sometimes when I'd be going into these companies, right, you'd see these Japanese CEOs or these Japanese, high-level managers, and they'd be like, you just kind of have to take a lot of shit sometimes when you're in the corporate meeting with them.
They're like, you don't have a Japanese person you could send to talk to us? Like,
no,
motherfucker, we don't.
Yeah, you'd call them, and my Japanese was like low business level, so decent enough, to close somebody who didn't speak English. But calling them on the phone, as soon as you say one lick of anything in English, these guys hang up. They don't want anything to do with you, right? Most of Japan is still very xenophobic in that way. And so also, when you go out, at night, right, when you're going out to the bars and stuff, you get some people, who are like, oh, I want to try English, and stuff like that. But that's like a very narrow portion of the population. Most people are still, when they see like a foreign person, no matter what color they are, it doesn't really even matter. They're just like, ooh, they just kind of, you can see them, like sometimes you'll have like 2 seats on the train next to you on a busy train that nobody's sitting next to you, just because, oh, he's the foreigner or, the other. So they have that throughout their entire history. They used to, they used to kill foreigners here.
I know.
Like less than 100 years ago.
I know. I mean, they were isolated for a while, and a lot of people don't know about like when the Christians came to Japan, and they started preaching the message of, brotherly love, and we're all equal amongst Christ. Japan is like extremely hierarchical. Like they're basically very, very hierarchy based, and they fucking, the history. They fucking burned all those churches, and they fucking took the missionaries in public and burned them for everybody to watch. They destroyed the churches and they killed them all. They killed Japanese and the fucking and the people who brought Christianity as well. They don't have a good history of accepting foreigners, and it's fine. It's whatever. It's their culture. It's their place. Whatever. That's them. I'm not here to cry about it. I'm just saying these are the facts.
Oh, exactly.
So for somebody to say like, it does help being white. I'm just like, dude, just shut up. Like, you clearly have no game or understanding of female dynamics or anything, quite honestly speaking.
Or even just the world.
let's go back to let's talk about cryptocurrency and why we're involved with it. Obviously, the financial side for sure. We were calling it since last year that Bitcoin would be, pretty big. And last year, Bitcoin was stable around 3,000. Now, here we are, 1 year later, and Bitcoin is very stable and has been consistently stable around 9,000 for would you say the majority of the year it's been stable at 9,000?
So yeah, I guess the main data point that you have to take out of Bitcoin, is the liquidity event that happened to all markets in March, right? So everything in the early part of March, end of February tanked, right? Every single asset, market, whatever. Bitcoin has come back better than any other market. So that's one thing to be aware of. But then, yes, in terms of its average price throughout 2020, I would say would probably be between 8 and 10,000. So 9,000 is probably a pretty good mark for that.
Mm-hmm. And then last year we were fucking shouting at people to like buy Bitcoin at 3,000. We're like, buy it. It's going to go up. And then
we started talking about it at 3,600, 700, something like that. And it's never been back to that price.
Mm-hmm. And next year, when Bitcoin's floating around 15,000, we're going to be like, hey, dummies, we told you it's been 2 years now. What are you going to do? Real quick, Dimitri has a question. He says, would really appreciate you directing me where is safe to put my BTC. So much scamming out there. Heard arbitrage trading is a good one. But where to put my money? Charlie, I'll let you shine right now with your expertise. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would love to do arbitrage trading in crypto if basically the cards weren't rigged so that you basically can't do it. A lot of the people who've been in crypto who own exchanges have the possibility to do arbitrage. But for the normal person, if you're to try to do arbitrage on crypto, you'll quickly, well, maybe not quickly, but you'll probably find out that a lot of the regulations between the exchanges on an international level becomes very hard for you to be able to code something to do that properly. But anyways, that's that second part of the question. The first part of the question, where should I put my Bitcoin somewhere that is safe? So the simplest place to put it, and we've had this guy in your webinars before for, modern, for the BLM, body language mastery.
Body language mastery, not Black Lives Matter.
I was going to let you say that, yeah. Because I started seeing, the protest signs. They're like, the first thing in my mind is, oh, body language mastery. No, I'm joking.
All those black people, they want to join BLM. They're like, BLM.
But anyways, like, yeah, we've had the guy in your webinars, right? The CEO of Bread Wallet, right? He explained in your webinar in the last quarter how to use Bread Wallet. But Bread Wallet lets you hold your private keys. So you just go to the App Store, download Bread Wallet, put your Bitcoin there. It's pretty safe, especially if you're new to crypto. If you want something else that you might make you feel a little bit more secure, you can get a thing called a ledger or a Trezor, Trezor. Those are cold storage wallets. You just go onto this channel and you look, I think Modern Life Dating, Tokyo Crypto Show, like how to use Bitcoin or something like that. One of our first episodes, we tell you how to use, cold storage wallet, what the difference is between that and the other stuff. So go take a look at our old videos on that too. But yeah, those are the three
it's
main.
the easiest one, man. Honestly, let me show you. Like I have Bread Wallet on my cell phone where I keep, some Bitcoin, and it's really like you can see it's beautifully set up. Like I have my Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and you could just see you can add what you want onto the screen here. You can do selling and trading through here, but I don't recommend it because the prices are a little outrageous.
Yeah,
on
crazy.
This app. But this is the best place to store your cryptocurrency, because if you store it here, you have 100% access to it. Like, when the United States tells you, hey, like, are you traveling with more than $10,000? Like, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, no, I'm not. But right here, you can take your Bitcoin with you and have emergency funds on a global scale if you just want to have that peace of mind, knowing like, okay, I'm going to be okay, in regards to if something goes down, I have some cash on me that I can't technically get robbed of. Because even if your phone gets stolen, as long as you have your backup key, you can buy a new phone or buy like a dummy Android phone that's like $20, and like you can recover it to the dummy phone, and then you have access to your coins.
Yeah, and you're the perfect example of that. You tested this to the extreme when you broke your phone last summer.
Yeah.
And I remember coming over to your house. You're like, try it, come over to my house. Like, let's make sure that I can get my Bitcoin back. I had it all on Bread Wallet and I broke my phone. I don't know if this is going to work, man. Like, you're freaking the hell out.
Yeah.
Came over there, you did all the steps yourself and you did everything that you're supposed to do. And of course, it takes time to sync to the blockchain. So it took, I think, like 30 minutes before you saw your funds, but you're just having like some cold sweats or something. Not literally, but then it came back in and we're like, well, it worked. So it's a really, really good wallet. So
let's talk about, like, for the people that don't even know what Bitcoin is, right? Like, why would you say Bitcoin is important to the average man?
So you can be your own bank. And some people might be like, I don't want to be my own bank, right? There's a lot of people who don't want responsibility. They don't want self-sovereignty. They don't want freedom. But, if you're a person who's like, okay, I want something that is not tied to the majority of the other pieces that we have in finance. And on top of that, I can actually control the money that I put in there and nobody can ever take it away from me. They put a gun to my head. I'm the one who has to tell them my private key or whatever in order for them to get my Bitcoin. They can threaten to put you in jail. Doesn't mean you have to give it to them, all that type of thing. They can't pry it from your cold, dead hands unless you give it to them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the thing is, Charlie and I, we really hate the Federal Reserve, right? And if you know what the Federal Reserve is, hopefully, a lot of people don't understand with the coronavirus thing, but Donald Trump actually seized control of the Federal Reserve with all the legislation that he passed. So I'm hoping that this is going to be the start of something changing. Hopefully. We'll see what happens. I mean, but regardless, the Federal Reserve is the enemy of the American people. They are constantly printing money and adding money to the system, and what it's doing is causing inflation. Now, inflation is when the value of your dollar no longer is as strong as it was last year. So that means if you have $100 this year, next year, that $100 is probably going to be worth 95, or at this rate of printing, probably like 85. And Bitcoin in itself is the reverse of fiat currency. Fiat currency is, we're talking about currency issued by banks that are not backed by anything. Like in the 1970s, fiat currency, or the United States dollar was backed by gold. Now it is no longer backed by gold. It's just backed by trust in the government. And if you ask me, trust in the government, that fucking dollar ain't worth shit.
Yep.
So, with the situation being as it is, Bitcoin is deflationary. So Bitcoin is programmed to increase in value over the years, and since its inception, it's done that. Charlie, could you pull up the weekly or the yearly lowest price of Bitcoin, that popular chart? Because you never judge Bitcoin by the yearly high. You judge Bitcoin by the yearly low. And Bitcoin itself has been increasing in value, like I said, since its beginning. And to be quite honest with you, like theoretically, I can't say this with 100% certainty and absoluteness. However, Bitcoin is pretty much a hedge against inflation. And with the recent $1 trillion that the United States has printed, that means if you're listening to me and you own US dollars, before they printed that $1 trillion, those US dollars were worth a lot more than what you have right now.
And who do you think gets the fresh money? Right? The banks, everybody that's their friends. It's crony capitalism when it comes to that.
Yeah. Rishi says, what would you guys recommend the best way to acquire BTC? Just cash, man. Just buy it. Stop the pipe dreams of like day trading. Like if you want to be a day trader, like you need to find a teacher, and you're going to be working your fucking ass off. It's a high stress job. It's not something glorious that you think it is. And you have to be really, really disciplined. I just say take money, dump it into Bitcoin, and forget it's ever been there, and make a point in your mind when you're going to sell. Like a lot of people are going to sell at 15,000, but if you just look at where Bitcoin is going, I mean, there is a very, very bright future for Bitcoin moving forward.
Yeah, and you can when you buy when you buy it, you set it, forget it. Then you just create a strategy, for you mentally. Start learning about crypto. Spend 15 minutes a day learning about it. Learn how it reacts with the rest of the financial system, and after about 3 or 6 months of trying to learn about it every day for at least 15 minutes, then you'll start understanding it more and more, and then you can start setting goals for yourself. Okay, here's where I think the price is going, and then you can start making your strategy. Okay, do I want to trade? Do I want to buy some altcoins? Do I want to invest in other areas? Or what do I want to do with this money when the price appreciates? All those things. So, the first thing is just get it. And then after you got it, then start to understand it.
Troy on Two Wheels has a question. It says, total newbie to Bitcoin here. What if you don't have 9,000 to buy Bitcoin? Can you buy smaller amounts? Yes. So Bitcoin, you can buy like decimal points of a Bitcoin. So let's just say one Bitcoin is $1, right? 1.00. You can buy 10 cents of a Bitcoin. You can buy 1 cent of a Bitcoin. So a 0.01. So you take the total price, divide it by 0.01, and that's going to give you how much the Bitcoin is going to be worth that you buy at that time. So a lot of people, some people take $100 a week. Some people take $1,000 a month, but they just put it into Bitcoin because a lot of people invested in the 401k in the stock market. When the coronavirus thing happened, they got cleaned out. And that was something that really, really was an eye-opener for a lot of people. People got cleaned out of their jobs. People got cleaned out of their 401ks. People got cleaned out big time. There was an unintentional red pill.
Yeah.
And
it's continuing, it's going to be continuing throughout the next year at least.
Absolutely. So, Charlie, I want you to pull up that. Do you have that?
Yeah, I got it.
Chart? Take a look at that. Charlie's going to show this, but real quick, before he shows that, I want to show you guys, we have a special announcement from the High Commander of the Hot Dude Army, and I think you guys just need to check this out real quick. Take a look at what we got going on here.
So you want to be a hot dude? Some mighty fine good news there, son.
Hi there, I'm Jonathan from ModernLifeDating.com, and I'm High Commander of the Hot Dude Army. Do you want to be an alpha male? Come on down to Body Language Mastery, launching on June 25th, where we're going to give you the complete breakdown on how to be a top tier alpha male in today's society. Let's take a walk. You see, Body Language Mastery is a two-part program. The first part is the complete video course. This is going to teach you whether a woman is sexually interested in you or she's not interested in you based upon her body language. That way, you keep the women around that are interested in you, and the ones that are not, you send them packing. And quite honestly, that's the easiest part. The second part is what we like to call the Masculine Empowerment Network, where we teach men like you the fundamentals of being a successful man in today's society, focusing on making money, making muscles, and learning game. The Masculine Empowerment Network is comprised of over 600 men across the globe. We're waiting for members like you. As you can see, we have one of our proud members of the Masculine Empowerment Network right here. What is the Masculine Empowerment Network? Well, starting July 1st, every day, we will do 2 educational webinar sessions. 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours at night. A grand total of 30 lessons and over 60 hours of face-to-face live coaching on Zoom. In addition to that, not only do you get the training in quarter 2, you also get grandfathered in and free training in quarter 3 and quarter 4 for this year. That's right, you're gonna get over 160 hours of coaching if you enroll on June 25th. In addition to that, you'll receive the entire database of last year's webinars with over 100 hours of red pill content to help you become the best man you can be. So, don't delay. Come on down to modernlifedating.com/body language and let's make a man out of you.
All right. So, guys, don't forget, June 25th, we have got Body Language Mastery quarter 2 launching once again. Just go to modernlifedating.com/body language. Scroll down, click on this link right here, and then put your best email address in right here because enrollment is only allowed for 5 days. June 25th, June 26th, June 27th, June 28th, and June 29th. After this, the Body Language program will be closed and the price will go up to $797. This is the best time to get in. Let's take a look, and if you want to share your screen there, Charlie, let's take a look at the lowest prices of Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about this. So I love this guy right here. This guy.
Yes.
Can we look at this defeatist mindset? Tupac says, "Poor people can't buy Bitcoin. It will cost more in fees if you buy very little Bitcoin."
Yeah, I saw that as well. Well, I have guys in my group, right, who only buy a few $100s of Bitcoin. I have some guys who buy a few thousand, right? Everybody's on a different level. I thought the same thing. When I was an English teacher back in 2012, are we sharing the screen or am I on?
Oh, you're still talking right now.
Okay. So I'll just do that so I can see myself. We'll just stop that for a second. But basically in 2012, when I was an English teacher, right, I thought that was when I first heard about Bitcoin, was the end of 2012. And I was like, oh, this thing sounds really interesting, but I only have a few $1,000s at the moment to my name. So, I don't think I can invest in it yet. I don't think I can invest in anything, right? Oh boy, how wrong I was. If I had bought, that $1,000 that I could have invested into Bitcoin back in 2012, right? I think I'd be a pretty happy camper with that change. And it wouldn't be, amazingly crazy life-changing money, but it would definitely be a nice, piggy bank savings amount to have. And so, I just say, if you're a defeatist and you think that, the world is against you and there's no opportunity to be had here, then I guess, that's your own choice. But if you really look into cryptocurrency, you'll just see how young it is compared to any other market. And there's still a hell of a lot of opportunity in this market. So yeah,
Look, I just want to point out how stupid this guy is, because here we are talking about what we did in 2017. LOL, you haven't been around when Bitcoin got popular in 2017. I've been in this space longer than anyone here. Then go on down and start your own website and get the fuck off of this channel and go fuck yourself while you're at it, since you're so high and mighty, right? Thank you, AB Gaming, for subscribing. I don't fucking entertain this defeatist loser mindset. Okay, I don't care if you have $25 a week. You should be investing into something. Okay, and Bitcoin is still possible to purchase at $25 a week. And if you can't think about that, I mean, that's probably why you're an idiot with an Anon account. Okay. Anyways, Charlie, let's go back to the chart you were going to share there.
All right, can you see it?
Yeah, here we go.
So let's say I had bought Bitcoin, $1,000 of Bitcoin back in 2012, right? Let's just say the high or the low of 2013. So like I was looking at it in 2012 and it was $4, right?
Yeah.
At that time, I think it was at the end of 2012, it was much more than that. So it's probably around, let's say $100 when I was looking at it just in general. But I thought it was magic internet money. It wasn't going to be worth anything someday. So I didn't really know anything about it, right? So I just looked at it from that mindset to begin. And to be honest, most people come at it from a pretty negative mindset to begin. But then once they pay attention to it and see what it does, then it changes pretty quick. But anyways, let's say I were to have bought it at $100 and I bought $1,000 worth. That would mean I would have 10 Bitcoin right now. The current price of Bitcoin is $97,000. I'd have $97,000. So I think I would have been pretty happy with that outcome. But yeah, don't look at the all-time highs, look at the yearly lows, and it is continuing to grow. Anybody who understands not only trading, but also money and how money grows, or actually how price discovery is found, I guess is a better way to put it, for different assets over time. Bitcoin is still in its early price discovery phase. We have the low in 2012 being $4, next year 75, next year 200, next year a little bit lower at 185, then 365, 780, 3200. Last year, I believe it was around like 3,300, so not too far up here. And then this year it was 37, 3850, somewhere around there. So it's growing steadily for higher lows, and those higher lows are more likely to continue than not over the next few years.
What was the low price of Bitcoin in 2019?
So 2019, I mentioned, was about probably around the same 3,300. So actually, let me look. I'll get you the exact number, because January, that would have been the actual low was 3322.
Mm-hmm. So it still beat that by $100.
Yeah, and then the low for this year so far has been up there, over here at 3850.
And that's because we had a fucking global scamdemic.
Exactly.
Imagine what the price would be if that whole, whatever beer bug virus was there. It was not there, because, I mean, look, we broke 10,000 towards the beginning of Q1, right?
Yep, 10,500 is where it got in the middle of February.
Yep. So, I mean, like I said, things are looking good. But again, going back to Bitcoin, let's talk about the anonymous, the relative anonymous nature of Bitcoin.
So the guy who made it, right? We don't know who it is, or the guy or girl, or one of the 36,000 genders that we have, whatever, who made it. We don't know who that person was. It's probably more likely a group of people who made it, because it's possible that one person made it as well. But anyways, we have no clue who they were. Right. But we understand what their purpose was by how they made it and the white paper, blah, 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 blah. But right now, it's the most decentralized financial system in existence. And so because we don't know who made it, plus it's extremely decentralized and the power is given out to the people who are continuing to build the network, that means it's a power to the people kind of thing, and not to the centralized government or the people like the Federal Reserve who are printing all that money for themselves.
Right. And so the thing is this too, with Bitcoin, this is a little bit more of an advanced conversation, but it sounds bad, but you can launder your Bitcoin. I know like money laundering seems like a bad thing, but you can put your thing in it's called a Bitcoin tumbler. Is that correct?
Mixer. So
Mixer.
there's one that I was talking about on my show Moon Gang on Monday, which is called Wasabi Wallet. And Europol, the cybersecurity agency for the EU, actually did a 4-page document that got leaked. That was only for law enforcement, but it got leaked on the internet recently. And they admitted that Wasabi Wallet is actually legal by European standards, but they want to try to find a way to take it down, basically.
Right, and
So
that's the thing.
It's not like money laundering in that way. It's actually still legal.
And that's the thing, because the United States government, they want to tax Bitcoin, right? And they want their fair share. And
fair share.
Yeah. And here at Interview with the Man, we highly endorse paying every single ounce of money you owe to the United States government. By no means should you use cryptocurrency to bypass and trick all the dumb people working at the IRS. And, you should always pay your taxes, and you should never use Bitcoin to potentially hide money or make purchases person to person, because Bitcoin was not developed for peer-to-peer cash transactions.
That you can move anywhere around the globe without censorship smoothly.
Jared Hidden says, I finally got to round up to a full Bitcoin in that crash. Epic. Congratulations. You see, that's the difference between a winner and a loser. During that, global scamdemic, Bitcoin crashed quite a lot. And, a lot of people were worried that it was never going to make a comeback. But people in our audience, they were able to acquire one whole Bitcoin. One guy, we're not going to mention who he is, but one guy in our audience was able to nab one Bitcoin at $4,000. He took $4,000. He bought the Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin is at 9,700, and he's sitting at a $5,700 profit for doing absolutely nothing. Just like as Cody just says, keep calm and hodl on. He just held on to it. And again, I'm more of a, there's a lot of other cryptocurrencies, and Charlie has a show that he does every day, he does 3 days a week. He will soon go back to doing daily shows.
I am doing daily shows now. You're just not counting them correctly. So I got 4 days a week. I do every weekday basically. So I do I do Moon Gang on Sunday evening, 10 p.m. Eastern. Then my show Tuesday, Thursday, Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern, just before you. And then I'm on with you on Wednesdays.
Mm-hmm. So Charlie's making moves, and his show talks about a lot of things. Like, and the thing is, a lot of people get into cryptocurrency. What's the number one reason people get into cryptocurrency, Charlie? To free the world, to save the man?
They want to make money, baby.
They
of
want
course.
to make money. And that's why those idiots who are involved with Hexcoin, like, we're trying to help them. We're trying to save them. And we're able to spot scams, because in 2017, we saw all sorts of scams going on. Remember Zillacoin? Remember? And Verge and all this shit that was going down? We saw it all going down. And, we realized that there are a lot of nefarious characters in this space, and we wanted to...
Wherever there's money, there's going to be people trying to take it from other people, right? I mean, that's just, if you look in banking, it's the same thing. It's just glossed over because everybody's behind marble and, concrete, nice glass buildings in the middle of New York City. Mm-hmm. No, they're still cutthroat. They're still trying to take your money. JP Morgan, still money laundering.
Yeah. And Charlie and I, one of our favorite things to do is to go to these like head Bitcoin CEO Q&As and like to grill the fucking CEOs or grill the top dudes. We have talking to the CEO of Binance, CZ. We have talked with him. We have, I personally have grilled Vitalik Buterin. Charlie was there watching that.
That was awesome.
We both have met and chat with Roger Ver, who is the founder of Bitcoin.com and also Bitcoin Cash. And then I'm personal friends, and Charlie's friends with Adam Trademan, who is the CEO of Bread Wallet. And we also went to a Q&A and grilled, what's that shit coin we went to?
Lisk.
Lisk. We were the only people drilling this guy with hard questions. And I always think it's hilarious when we ask them, like, we drill them with the hard questions, then we say, why should we buy your coin? And they're like, well, you shouldn't. Like, you should just do whatever you want. I'm like, all right. All right.
Not financial advice is basically what they're saying.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Feels real good. So it's good to have you as a real life shit poster at these forum events. Moving forward, what's like, we always talk about the magic number we both need to never worry about money again, which is it's $5 million, right? We need 5 million.
Yeah, I'd say $5 to $10 million these days. The more depends on where the dollar goes in the next 20 years. But
right.
It used to be, everybody wanted $1 million, right? That would be, the best in the world. And I remember I told Jack Napier, I was like, I'm aiming for 5 to 10 million. He was like, what the hell are you spending that money on? But in reality, when you look at it, when you're like, okay, how can I use my money, let my money compound on itself, build itself up, and then I never have to work another day in my life? If you want that type of money, then yeah, it's got to be between $5 to $10 million. And maybe, by the time we're getting close to the end of our lifetime, maybe that's doubled, tripled, who knows, right? So get it while the getting is good and put it in something that will retain or increase in value over time.
Yeah, and that's what we both are striving for. It's like, $5 to $10 million each. Because the way things are going, I just think, well, look, it doesn't even matter if you're a man and you're listening to us right now and you only have one stream of income, you should be afraid. Like, you need to have multiple streams of income. You need to have multiple ways to navigate this financial market, because at the end of the day, like, we're men, we're not women. Like, we can't just go and somebody's going to feel sorry for us and all we need to do is have sex with them and they'll let us stay in their house for free.
If only it was that easy for guys. I think all guys would just be like,
it's homeless bums.
Yeah, basically. It's just like they wouldn't be doing shit.
Jared Hinton says, McAfee, he's looking to go on some shows. Dude, are you not paying attention? We had John McAfee on the Tokyo Crypto Show 2 weeks ago. He was on there. It was it got I think 5,000 views or something.
Yeah, is this a new Jared? He could be a new guy, or has he been in the chat before?
I think this is a new Jared, but yeah. No, we had
John McAfee on the show 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we had John McAfee here. We were interviewing him and talking about everything. James says, my roommate told me there's an overall cap on Bitcoin. It will stop mining. What's the ceiling for Bitcoin? Well, your roommate didn't tell you the full story that the last Bitcoin will be mined in the year 2100 when everybody here is dead. So,
yeah, 2140 to be relatively exact. And so it's like, yeah, I think we'll be long gone by that point.
Yeah, we'll be dead, and I'll be sure to spend all my Bitcoin before that happens. So, yeah, Charlie, let me ask you this. So you're able to network and meet a lot of guys from Body Language Mastery. Some of them have converted and gone over to your group, and your group they're all doing very well financially. There's nobody losing a shitload of money except for Brent, because he just gambles with his Bitcoin. So,
yeah, there's some people, it depends on what your mindset is going in. So I always try to have a consultation with somebody when they come in. I usually advise them to get a consultation plus the monthly group in order to kind of have somewhere to base their mind off of. A lot of the people, I would say 80 to maybe 60 to 80% of the people actually do get that consultation to start and then start on the right road. But I mean, your friend Corey, right? He came in with the idea.
He's not my friend anymore.
No, I know. That's why I was being sarcastic. But he came in with the idea of, okay, I want to make this my monthly income. Like, I want to make, $3,000 a month with this shit right off the bat. And didn't have a, consultation with him or anything. Just started on there. And I'm like, it takes, at least 3 months to get a handle on trading. A lot of different things. So there's a lot of people who come in with unrealistic expectations. And if you come at it from that angle, yeah, you're probably not going to make money. You're probably going to lose some money. And everybody's going to lose some money in the game when they're learning how to do some trading as well. But, long term, if you're able to be what I call chart literate and understand what's happening, in the market, then you'll be able to protect yourself. I still advise, 80% of the stuff that you have in crypto, you should hold in your long-term HODL account. And then the other 20, if you want to try to trade that up and, increase that amount that way, great. So everybody has kind of like a different flavor for what they need to do for themselves. And so that's why, having a strategy and talking about it from the beginning is extremely important. But not everybody has the patience for that. And some people have crazy, unrealistic expectations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So when you were giving your presentation and stuff in the webinar, did a lot of guys come to you and say like, oh, this is really valuable information, we enjoyed this? And like, how did that just affect you? Just even you personally listening in on the body language mastery webinars, how did that help you? Obviously you're a leader in the community, but also a participant. Tell me what you think about that.
Yeah, it's great. I think, something just as a really simple example, the other Jared that, the young Jared that we have in there, a while back, he was like, private messaging me. He's like, oh, how do I get Bitcoin and stuff? And I was like, well, here's a bunch of different ways. Right. And I even mentioned, Bitcoin ATMs is one of them. And he's like, I didn't even know that, there was a thing such as a Bitcoin ATM. Right. So 99% of this stuff is absolutely foreign to people. So that's what I really like, going into the group, giving some people some understanding that there's a lot of people in there who already understand a decent amount about finance, decent amount about crypto. So then getting those people, those are the people who can have success with crypto faster, right? So helping those guys as well to speed up their success is great. And, all those types of things is really good. But also, from what would you call it? Like from a selfish perspective in terms of like, what can I get from it as well? Like my eyes have been open so much within body language mastery to subjects that I had no clue that my eyes would be opened up to, right? Like when you think of the term body language mastery, you think of, okay, to read somebody's body language. And I think when we were in sales, we were able to do that, better than other people. But then also just, in terms of fitness, in terms of counting calories, like I'd played football and basketball throughout high school. I played baseball growing up. So I know how to do weight training in general. Like I had a personal trainer in high school when I played middle linebacker in college, or sorry, not in college, in high school. And I played center for the most part in junior high school and high school for basketball. So I was always pretty thin. But, until recently, I didn't even consider about calorie counting that much because I was like, I'll just work out. But as people age, you got to pay attention to that aspect as well. And then, just in terms of like female nature and everything like that, I think, before I met you, I vaguely even heard anything about the red pill in terms of that aspect. Right. So when I came into that area, I was just like, or when I came into this area, I came in with a pretty big grain of salt. I was just like, is this just a bunch of dudes who are pissed off at stuff? Or what, and then I started watching your shows with Rolo and stuff. And I was like, holy shit, that he's correct. All the information he's talking about is like extremely like on point. And then I opened up my ears a lot. And when I got into body language mastery, right, we had the opportunity to listen to all sorts of awesome dudes talk. Myron Gaines talking about, fitness at a high level is extremely valuable. Listening to Rollo Tomasi talk about, male-female dynamics is always a good listen. I really like, Offie Kingdom as well. He was always, he's very entertaining and very personable person, but also deep in the knowledge that he gives. So, and I forgot what the guy's name was, but the guy who did the mummification, I was like, I wasn't expecting that, in that group as well. So you get, A to Z, any topic that will improve your understanding of all of these different subjects. So I think, that's been extremely eye-opening for me.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's always good to hear like, the large variety of people's opinions, just unfiltered, because it helps everybody in different ways. So guys, don't forget, man, we got Body Language Mastery coming up on June 25th. If you want to find Charlie, go to cultivatecrypto.com. You'll see everything. Subscribe to his channel. Charlie and I will be back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. for our show, the Tokyo Crypto Show. Until then, you guys have a wonderful day. Get out there, make money, make muscles, learn game, and we will see you next time. Peace out.